Support for this show comes from Lead Quizzes. Lead Quizzes helps you easily set up high-converting quizzes to capture and qualify leads for your business. Visit leadquizzes.com/podcast to get a 14-day free trial today.
And that was the beginning of the end of that being what it was. Just losing motivation and then stop the grind without automating the grind. So I tell everybody, like I was telling you earlier, there's a year or two, maybe 3, where you're so into it and you're so passionate that you'll do all that. What I should have done, I didn't do. I should have documented everything, created systems, all that stuff you read about. It's all true because I didn't do any of it. And then I burn out. And then it's almost like I can't, right now I can't go back to that company. It's right there and it still sits there and it still looks great. And it can be so great. There's no way I'm doing it. It's done. It's, psychologically it's over.
From Lead Quizzes, it's Journey to 7 Figures, a show about entrepreneurs and the stories behind how they grew their business to 7 figures and beyond. We cover the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the lessons they learned along the way. Welcome back to Journey to 7 Figures. Today I'm interviewing Michael Lovitch. Michael is a former special education teacher who started his first company in 2004. He's founded 3 multi-million-dollar companies, including one that reached $40 million in annual sales. Very excited to interview Michael today and learn about his journey to 7 figures. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Let's take it back to the beginning. So talk about your transition from being the special education teacher then into starting your first business.
I was kind of a very happy, kind of poor guy. I kind of prided myself on it. I was fine with me and my dog doing that kind of thing. Got married, took some sales jobs, didn't do that well at that. Had a kid on the way. And then it was I'd always had this idea that I thought would work in the psychology space or more like hypnosis, because I'm more of an academic. And I saw, even back then, in 2004, I could reverse engineer. I saw people selling these new age hypnosis products that were complete from hypnotists, which there's no such thing as a hypnotist, by the way. Hypnotherapy is just a big con game because cats can get certified in that. So never go to a hypnotherapist. They don't exist. So I saw these people doing this and I reversed. I was like, wow, back then it was Overture. It wasn't even Google AdWords, but I logged in the accounts and kind of see what they're paying. And I was like, wow, man, there's $5,000 a day here. If they're not all losing their ass, I'm just complete in so many ways. And I did have an academic background. I know what hypnosis could be. And then I read a Dan Kennedy book on how to be a publisher, right? Because I'm not a guy that ever wants to be the talent. So I'm not ever going to be a guy who's going to have some course on anything. I don't like it. It's not who I am. I'm behind the scenes. I'm just not into that. And I'm not that great at anything. So it's this publisher model seems incredible. All these psychologists who real PhDs, badasses who do hypnosis. I mean, the only books they have are academic books. Yeah, but they're amazing and they're putting their whole life into this. I was what if I could get them to go to a studio, which costs a couple $100, record their life's work for me, and then I figure if I could just have half of that 5K, it'd be $60K a month. And, it's all, selling CDs. So it was pretty, in my mind, this can't be that hard. I know I can make way better. The publishing model was pretty easy. And my sister's a lawyer. She won't be a contract. So it's pretty easy, low grade stuff. I got it from Dan, and my buddy was had a web hosting company, found me a way to, I think we used back then, there's really no carts. I used some open source PHP cart. I think it was Xcart. Anyway, all pretty much done cheap, done. And I just being able to call these therapists and say, hey, look what people are selling. You want that out in the world? Do you want your stuff out there? I didn't sell any financial dreams. It was more the cause. And that's what I've always done. It's aren't you pissed? Because I was pissed at this. Hypnosis for memory. Well, hypnosis doesn't work for memory. For these people don't even know what they're doing. Hypnosis for alcoholism. Well, it doesn't work for that. So the whole idea of these guys I like creating things that you can whine about it, you can defeat them with real stuff. I like science. So the main thing was seeing the opportunity. The big thing is you can still reverse engineer anything. I think that's what a lot of guys don't do. Is I think you want to do something you're into. I think it helps a lot at the beginning. I think the attitude of finding some opportunity you're not into, you might do all right. But after knowing a lot of entrepreneurs for a long time, they burn out really fast and they might make some cash, but they never create businesses. I think you want to find something you're into, give a shit about a little bit at least, something or that a little bit more than other people about and you actually kind of care about, at the very least. And then you can kind of go to that space, especially now, and just reverse engineer, what kind of money is being spent on that space. And then use some little common sense and find out, well, what's missing or what's wrong with it. Because you don't have to have the whole space. You can just find, like me, I've always sold to New York Times readers. I grew up I'm a Jew, right? And I grew up in an academic family. I was, raised by a lawyer and a professor. So I got the Jew mind. I think like that. So I knew I could sell to people who think like I do. So you don't need to first of all, you don't need to take the whole market, but find like the space you're into, and is there money being spent? And all of you got to go there is just look at sponsored posts or go to Google AdWords, log in for accounts. Familiar, go to Pinterest, anywhere you can log in and buy something, see what it is to buy media, what it is. You can kind of reverse engineer vaguely that there's money being spent. That means money's being made. And then go find a little sliver. But you do have to have a difference.
Awesome. Okay. So you found this opportunity. You saw like there's this tons of like bad product and bad information in this space. You said, I think I can do this better. I have some passion in it. You saw like kind of this opportunity of, I think you were saying $5,000 a day in ad spend was like kind of what was going on in the space at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And so you start reaching out to these people and saying like, do you want this kind of information out there? Can you help us increase it?
Right. I got them mad. And then I did, because of my background, I could get to them and said, okay, I'll give you 15% of net.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's a net thing instead of like gross. So that way, whatever I did, I knew I'd make money, right? So if you're going to be a publisher, pay a royalty, always go net, not gross, because you could get upside down really quick, right?
Yeah.
Things like that.
So was that the deal? Did you pay them at all to record it, or it was just like a revenue or profit share?
Nope. I just done 0.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So you started this out really cheaply. You got the website up, you got the hosting contract, shopping cart. What were your first steps after you kind of had the infrastructure in place and you had the product created?
To first of all, put them online and then figure out copywriting. Because that's one thing I put it up like a catalog at the beginning, which is a big mistake. Because I did think they just come.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that part of the internet of the thing yet. But I'm a decent writer, and I bought a book. Who did I buy? It's Nick Usborne, some guy. He wrote a really good book on copy, and then I just started doing what most people do. And then I got into Halbert. I just started devouring copy books and testing copy until I got the ads working, right? Until I started like, all right, wow, like I'm finally converting. I'm breaking even or better. So learn copy and basically hone. I think I got like started learning, and Google had come out by then, and then Perry Marshall had his book out, so I was kind of messing around a little bit with that. Some other books, and there really wasn't sophisticated back then.
How long was it taking you to like actually learn copy where you felt like you're able to like create profitability with these ads?
It took me about 3 or 4 months to where I think I was writing okay.
Okay.
But back then, you got to remember, it was very less competitive that way.
Sure.
And media buying was just like Overture or Google. There wasn't even Facebook or social even, right?
Yeah.
Which is a good and bad, because, nowadays there's so many things you could do that most people get distracted. They try to do too much instead of like I was telling you before, like focus on one thing, get it right, and then another. But then what I realized was there's all these, back then as bloggers, everybody had blogs and these kind of things. And I had, at the time, I launched with 11 products and 11 different niches in the space. I had self-esteem, I had procrastination, I had diet adherence, sports performance. So basically all these subjects, and the affiliate marketing was just getting started. So then every day, like sales type, you just made a spreadsheet, and I'd go to these blogs and I would write them, and I'd look. That's what people do wrong too when they're trying to get partnerships. I would like read their blog. Back then you had Alexa and you had tools to find out if they really have traffic. And then are they collecting any, make sure they're collecting an email, right? So you find people who kind of know what they're doing a little bit. And I would read their stuff, and then I would comment and say, hey, I saw this couple articles about self-esteem, for example. It was really cool, and I would really read it. And then I'd say, and by the way, my thoughts on this or this. And by the way, Dr. Shirley McNeil has a program called, Core Inner Strength. I have a weird feeling you'd enjoy it. Maybe your people with it. Who knows? Is it cool if I send you a copy for your review? So it wasn't like, hey, promote my shit. It was just super like that. You just put them on a list. And if they got back, you just follow up and then send them that and then follow. Hey, and then it wasn't like, hey, you're going to never any talk about that. And then I'd say, hey, did you like it or not? And if they actually listened to it, most of the time they're like, wow, this is really good shit. And if they didn't, I'd leave them alone. But if they said that, and then I'd say, what'd you like about it? And they'd say, blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, hey, I know you haven't listened to all that. What if I gave you 25%? And all I want you to do is say exactly what you just said. I don't want you to lie. You've already said it. You already like the product. So I got them to do that before there's any financial incentive.
Awesome.
So I got reviews, got them to like it, super cool, and then just offered them 25% to say what they said. And then they make some money, and then I'd say, hey, do you want me to help you make more? Because I could write it better. right? So then they became more your partners, right? So then basically I just became this person to help them make a lot of money selling their products, and then network my ass off and met other people with good stuff. I'd say, well, I'd introduce them to my friends who had products. And so it's kind of like helping them promote good shit. And then as I met more and more people, being the guy in the middle that would help more and more other people, like, hey, like Peer Trainer, my friend Abid, like he never knew that he could do this. He had all this traffic and he made all this money with me. And I'm like, talk to Mike Geary, like Geary, he made money with my thing. You make twice as much with Mike. And I didn't take cuts, but it was all about goodwill. And then Mike would just start so it's just like that. So this slow roll. And then you do that enough, you start to get a name. And then I landed some big fish like Mercola and Hyman and some of the New York Times best-selling doctors. We had programs which are real and they worked. Because you can't do this if you're, so the rule number one on this is your stuff sucks. Or if it's not really good, it ain't going to work. So then you got to be tricky, and I don't believe in all that. So if you're looking for like tricky hacks and stuff, I can't help you because that's bullshit anyway. The first thing is create something great. Number one, that's great that you're proud of. So then when you're doing this kind of hustle, whether it's media buying or getting people to try it, it's real. Like I didn't feel like I was being weird. I actually this stuff's great and it's the best. And I know it's the best and I don't lie because I refuse to do it. And so it felt easy. It didn't feel sleazy because I see people doing this affiliate game and it feels really yucky. And that's just because it's a job to them and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's short term. And the launch crap and all that, I don't know. I think that's a weird game. So yeah, I think the main thing is make something you're proud of that works. Otherwise, no. But then when you do that, then it's grassroots shit. I mean, then it's like, then you got to work it and you got to be kind of your own ambassador.
Yeah. So it's a grind. I think we're going to unpack a lot of stuff here that you shared. I think number one is you took the mentorship approach, which is like, hey, can I get your feedback on this? Which is like a great approach. People usually love to share their opinions and their ideas on stuff.
Right.
So you made a compelling offer of like, let me just send this to you. You started getting like micro commitments from people by saying like, hey, did you like this? What did you like about it? And then so they're starting to feel committed. Let's see. And then you started to saying, well, like I can give you a cut if you do this. And then you said, I can write these promotions better for you. You started networking and then you started leveraging those people. And I'm sure there are results to be able to get these people with huge lists that can really promote for you.
Right. And they promote for my friends who also I get. So I created a network of kind of ethical health marketers.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, if I'm giving, like if you were selling something that was cool and I started getting you all these affiliates and then all of a sudden, and some other people you're going to introduce me to, especially if you're going to be cool to that person because you don't introduce them to people that suck or that ruins everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of a network of people who treat them right. That's the whole point of the whole thing. Like I would never introduce them to a vulture.
Yeah.
Right.
So you started out with like AdWords. How far did that take you like revenue wise with just running that to your offer?
Not that far. Once the affiliate thing took off, I stopped doing that. I stopped buying media because this was tough. I think I got up to like the net, maybe $3,000 a day-ish, tops on the ad buying, but it was a lot of work because this is kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the easiest. Like, look at Vision and Mind Valley, that was kind of like, he was a good friend of mine, competitor, but his was easier because it wasn't using the word hypnosis. So he was doing that. And yeah, and then once I started getting the big partnerships and then also, and then getting in all their autoresponders, that's the next step real quick. So if you do well and starting a good EPC on your offer, right? The next thing is going like, hey, you don't need to keep sending for me. That's kind of weird. Let me take a look. I'm really good at autoresponders. Let me take a look at your autoresponder and there might be a fit. And then what you do is, why don't you just go ahead and post your review and your recommendation on your site? That was good for me for SEO. And then I'll have a link. And I also we were hosting our own stuff, so they could put a link to my site, but it wouldn't show like ampersand. It wouldn't show the affiliate ID. We do it by the domain level tracking. Mm-hmm. So they could write this review, and then that was good for SEO. And then and then the autoresponder, I said, hey, you could probably write, we're perfect right here. Instead of having to blast for me and ruin it, just put us in. And then it go to their blog post, so it's evergreen, and they were making money every day then because it's in their autoresponder. And then if they would put up a good post for me, I would help them with SEO for that, right? It's all the things that help them. So once I started getting into that, there's just no reason to buy media. Like it's just every day. How many, can I get these people to put up real reviews? Can I help them with their autoresponders? So it really became more of that, and then meet new people, and then I ended up like 25 different products. So it was just like. That was all I did every day, If that makes any sense. So it didn't make sense.
Yeah, that's really smart. So you just kept looking for ways of how can I provide value? The stuff that's evergreen, like putting on their website or their autoresponders, where maybe they opt into someone's list and then a few weeks later they start seeing these hypnosis campaigns.
And over time, right? And then there's a lot of those people are on the same list, so that over time, right, it really works. So you're on Hyman, and then Mercolo's saying to buy it, and then Daniel Amen's saying to buy it, and right, and then it's like, whoa, they must be real. Because it's one of those products. Some products there's different resistance to different products. Like right now, hypnosis isn't weird. It was weird then. Like the whole thing has changed. Like now it's mainstream. Like I must go back and do it. But it's weird back then. It's not weird anymore.
Yeah. So you guys were really early. Tell me about how, like, as far as, so you like created these partners where they could make money, but how did you partner with them where it could help them get more value from, like, say someone on Dr. Hyman's list is going to help them get more value from the stuff he's teaching about weight loss, or, how did you find the partnerships like that?
Well, there's the grind phase, and then there's a phase where you have a big list too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Also, like I ended up with a huge following, and also big thing to do is don't neglect your people. Like I'm a good writer, and I would write really interesting content for them. Right. So keep your list warm with really good content, not promotions. Barely ever promote, but my list is pretty valuable. Everybody wanted me to send for them. So after a while, then you have that, right? So people want to work with you. So there's kind of a different stage to it as well. Once you have a big following, people all want to partner with you.
Yeah.
So then it's easier. And then you start partnering. And then that's also a slippery slope, because then you get lazy and you stop grinding, and then you just do whale stuff. And that's really a bad decision, because one whale leaving can really affect you. That's kind of what happened. So the grind phase was cool, but then, after a while, I didn't want to do that anymore. And then, like we talked earlier, we talked about pitfalls. What I should have done is built a real team, trained them on how to do it, had somebody get at relationships and created a system for people to follow that I was doing the first couple of years. And it's not rocket science. It would have just been hiring somebody with a good personality, like just creating this team. It wouldn't have been that much, but I didn't. I was too lazy. And then when I burn out, there's nobody else doing it. And then I was like, well, I'll just do big JBs, right? Because then you get lazy. I'll just JB. And that was the beginning of like the end of that being what it was. Just losing motivation, and then stop the grind without automating the grind. So I tell everybody, like I was telling you earlier, there's a year or two, maybe 3, where you're so into it and you're so like passionate that you'll do all that. What I should have done, I didn't do. I should have documented everything, created systems, all that stuff you read about. It's all true, because I didn't do any of it, and then I burn out, and then it's almost like I can't. Like now, I can't go back to that company. Like it's right there, and it still sits there, and it still looks great, and it could be so great. There's no way I'm doing it. Like it's done. Like it's like psychologically it's over.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing, like and it sucks, but you just have phases, and just maybe everybody is, but I have so many friends who are the same way. I don't know. Say some people have that. Once it's done and your head is done, it's really hard. It's like a relationship. Like, once you've had like 2 breakups with a girl, it's the third one ain't gonna.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is probably your personality too. Like if you look at something like Colby, like probably most entrepreneurs, I'm sure you're a very high quick start, and like once it's in place, like that's when it's like great to start putting those systems and process in place and start to scale it. But I'm guessing your personality wise, you got past a certain point where you're like, I want to create the next thing.
Yeah. So big lesson would be, grind, but document as you grind, and start to bring people on early. And, and if you terrible systems like I am, hire somebody, like I'm not the guy that's going to do that. Like I'm not I burn out. I was the same, like I was a special ed teacher. I used to have patients, and that all ended then. That all ended right there. No more. I can't do that anymore. I'm not a teacher anymore. I'm not a teacher. I won't do it. So I should have hired somebody who could. And there are people, it's not that hard, right? Like there's books on this. So yeah, I should have hired somebody who was good at that, had them train people, and it would be going now, and it'd be pretty big.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it fades away, and then you just can't get that back. That makes any sense. Like it's hard to come back to.
Definitely. And I wanted to ask you, Michael, I think I've heard you talk about this before, where you say like, these people like Dr. Hyman, where they have like a diet program, but then like your product is a complementary where it helps them like get more effect out of following their diet.
That was lucky. I mean, yeah, we had Roberta Senna. She created this enjoying weight loss, and all it was helping you stick to your diet, and I actually had it researched. So 92% of the people who used it were more likely to follow the diet they were given by a doctor or a trainer, right? Well, that was great data, and it's true, and exercise program. So what happened when I first started getting these deals on that, just one product, the weight loss product, is all of a sudden people who were selling diet books, or like people who were selling fitness programs, they were like, this is great, that's made money, and my return rate went down.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this product, and then people started talking. So my product was a double whammy. They made good commissions, but then it made their product better.
So you said you had like 11 different products. Were you able to repeat or like think through like really strategically about that type of angle?
Yeah, that was most obvious. But yeah, like we had a program for salespeople, not persuasion, like not hypnosis to trick people, but about like to get up in the morning. Like by Peter Lambro is amazing. It's kind of like how to overcome rejection, how to organize your day, all the stuff for the mental side of being a sales guy, not the tricks. And so, yeah, Rich Dad, Kiyosaki promoted that, Sales Talks promoted that. And so I went to a bunch of, that did really well. So yeah, you have a sales training, we'll make your sales training better. Because this was not a sales training, use hypnosis to sell. It was a get your shit together. So that did really well. And then the procrastination, a lot of people had like courses and that. So the only one that hit like the IM space was the productivity engineering. So yeah, people who had like courses would do that. Like I built my company on that program, like, because that was a program that I recorded before I even had the website up. And I listened to that every day to get myself motivated to like, I know it worked.
Yeah.
So that were, yeah. So I said those are the main ones that we will use that way.
And I think that's interesting because I think you went into this industry where you're different, so it's easier to stand out and it's complementary. And I think your story is really similar to another guest we had on, Randy Hartnell with Vital Choice, where he went out to some of these huge people. I forget some of the names, but they were teaching like the fish diet. And you're like, well, I have the best fish. Like you can just tell them to take this.
And I'm very, very tight with Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Mercola, the same people. I mean, Hyman, Mercola, they all promote Vital Choice. Yeah. Randy's fantastic. But yeah, he found a niche and he had their solution, and he's a cool dude and he's easy to be with.
Yeah.
And his heart's in the right place. Like it's all real. He has great product, right? Because so his product sucks, it wouldn't have worked.
Okay. We'll get back to the show in a minute, but first a quick thanks to our sponsor, Lead Quizzes. If you want to grow your business to 7 figures and beyond, you must learn how to generate leads predictably. When I first started my business, lead generation felt like riding a roller coaster. I would have huge sales months and then months with nothing. This happened because I relied solely on referrals and networking to grow my business. Predicting growth and investing in the future were frightening because I didn't have control over my lead generation. That was before we created Lead Quizzes. Now I predictably generate leads in my sleep and have stopped worrying about where the next sale will come from. Top marketers like Neil Patel and Lewis House have used Lead Quizzes to increase their lead capture by up to 500%. Think about it. Quizzes are fun, engaging, and you can offer personalized feedback in exchange for your quiz taker's contact information. Lead Quizzes is a software that allows you to set up high-converting quizzes quickly without having to hire an expensive programmer. In fact, our users have generated over 3 million leads for their businesses. Take control of your lead generation today and start your 14-day free trial by going to leadquizzes.com/podcast. So yeah, we have other businesses that you started that we can talk about. So you scaled Hypnosis Network up to 7 million. Were there any other either growth or areas that held you back that you want to kind of share about in that business?
Besides the team building, not being able to build systems and doing it all and burning out psychologically, I mean, it's just, if I would have systematized and kind of come up with the times and not gotten frustrated with that. And if I would have, you get greedy, you need to pay more for better people, all that stuff. Like I wish I would have done that and it wouldn't have burned out. But it's really just the grind, and that was a relationship kind of company. And I made sure I didn't skimp on the products. Like we probably made 80, 90 products, and I only ended up selling 25. So we beta tested everything. So it had to work, right? Against chance. I'm not going to sell something who doesn't fucking, and nobody does that, by the way. You go to the whole CD self-development world, I don't know anybody who tests against chance, but I'm like, so yeah, if it didn't beat chance, I'm not selling it. Like we had 4 different therapists make us a sleep program. None of them worked above the ocean water, so I couldn't sell it.
Well, I think that's easier from a publisher model where you're going out and finding these experts versus trying to be the expert, and then like you have one product and you just spent 6 months creating it or something.
Or you have like the guru, like I am the hypnotherapist who usually doesn't have, and then they have like 80 programs of their own, and it's always the same shit. So ours are wildly different. Every program is done by a different expert. So we had variety, man. It wasn't like the same pattern. Like I still pay attention, like the guided meditation people. It's always the same intro. It's like, come on. So no care. And I think that matters.
Okay.
If you're gonna sell something, then you better be great, or you're trying your best, or I don't know, just something besides just cookie cuttering it. I think it's kind of yucky.
Okay. So you started Hypnosis Network in about 2004 and grew that through about 2012, and then.
Because when did it start going down? It's all metal to me. It's like 8, 9. I think by like 2009, it was kind of like that was a downside.
It was peaking.
Yeah, and then I messed around, and then so we thought it'd be funny. With this guy, he had a supplement company. He became my partner at Real. He's great, but he had like more of a generic supplement company. It was doing good, but it wasn't like what I would want to promote. But it was good. It just wasn't like sciencey, but we were joking around, and Google slap it's 2008-ish, like the Google slap just happened, right? And everybody's like complaining about it. They couldn't do their ads. And I was just joking around. I'm like, I bet the Google slap doesn't include parody sites, right? Like, I bet if we were funny, that Google would miss all that in weight loss. Yeah, everybody's complaining in our world. Because, Buck and I had JV'd, so he promoted my hypnosis stuff, I promoted the supplements. So, like, we were already doing some business together. And I think that's why we were joking around about it. But nobody was buying ads. It didn't really hurt me because I was pretty much affiliate, but it was hurting me because my affiliates, right? So it's hurting everybody. So we were like, well, remember like the McGruff crime dog? We were like, what about we had Henry the Hellhound and he would take a bite off of online crime? And so we created this dog, and this guy Cullen made us a website, and then we would just take all the scammy help, like back then it was Sensa, which is like this scammy diet pill, which is totally bullshit, but it's the number one diet pill. And there's like, and then back then you could do ads like, don't buy Sensa until you read this. And then we had a dog talking trash on it. And then it was like, by the way, if you want to lose weight, why don't you go on a diet? And then we had like Isabella make us a diet book, and we gave that away for free. And then on the thank you page, we went and we were an affiliate for Diet Solution for, Jeff and Isabel. And they're still like, Jeff's a baby bathwater guy. I mean, like, awesome people, and their program is great. We could throw in like 50 cents and make $1.50 per, on Google, and then Google loved us because it wasn't like scammy stuff. It was like this dog talking trash with science on scammy weight loss pills. So everything we see, every weird ad for some pill, I go in and just destroy it. And then the thing would be, but if you want to lose weight, how about eating right? But it's a pretty, Google, no triggers there. And then the thank you page, if they opt in for the diet book, that's when we offered it. It was just, we made all the money off Jeff and Isabel. We made a lot of money. And then that funded Real Dose. So we took the cash from that, and then we were able to buy all the inventory and create Real Dose, which became a big company.
It's interesting. Okay, so you made some money in between just on what you'd learned with Google AdWords. Let's talk about Real Dose. So you built up some money, and then how did that get started?
Well, that was the thing, back to the original thing. Back then, although now there's a million companies I won't mention that took our brand promise. But anyway, back then, there really wasn't good supplements that had any research, because I was like, you need, in my opinion, you should have 2 double-blind studies for every ingredient. And then people would put they were doing these proprietary blend crap, right? Where they were like, what's in it? And you never really knew. By the way, if you look at a proprietary blend, it has to be in order and how much is in. But I'm like, wait a second. So let's say rhodiola, right? A lot of problems with just rhodiola in the ingredient label. One is what rhodiola, right? So there might be research that might say 200 milligrams of rhodiola, reduces anxiety, right? They should be real studies. So most people don't put that amount in, and they also don't use the same rhodiola as used in the research. It's not extracted the same way, and it's not a dose. So I was like, what if there's a company that actually used and the FDA guidelines are that you should have 2 double-blind studies and blah, blah, blah. So we just took the FDA guidelines and made them into our company standard. So it's like no ingredient, 2 human double-blind studies, same exact extract at the dose using the fucking research. Like, let's just go at them, right? And that's and also Hellhound, because we were like bashing scams. I was like, well, so let's make something that the whole idea is let's make something that Hellhound would like, because we were this hypercritical site, right? And we never promoted supplements because they all sucked. So we were like, let's make something that is real, and let's just take over. And then we also, for media buying, we were like, because this is still when it was hard, we were like, Google's going to love this, because what are they going to say? I mean, this is like, how could they complain against this? We're not going to make crazy claims. We're going to prove everything we say, and we're going to be, super subdued. And we did it. And we were lucky because we have, of course, lists of, most people don't have like lists to practice with. So we had lists, and we had all these people, my affiliates, so we had a lot of relationships to test. But in this case, we started off with that. And then we were like, in this case, it was opposite. It was like so much easier just to buy media, because we were buying on Google when nobody else could. So everybody's getting blackballed. We're fine. All of a sudden, we're spending $40,000 a day. We're rocking it, and we made a BSL, but it was BSL almost wrote itself, because it was kind of like we had the ingredients. I could bat. It was like a very easy argument to make, and nobody was doing BSLs then either. I think Mike Geary had the first health one, and then Buck had one. My partner, so he helped. I think Buck had the only other successful one, and Buck, great writer. Buck's a great partner, so he was able to kind of do the persuade. I did the science part, and he's the one who wrote the persuasive part of it, because he's a better writer that way, and worked. And then just all of a sudden, it's just like a slot machine. I mean, and there we hired a good media buyer. Like, we trained people, we built our, we didn't use agencies. We figured it out, and then got this genius guy from Eastern Europe who became head of media buying. We let him build a team, and then we hired good designers. So that we did the opposite. We didn't let it We actually hired the real team and paid them good money and hired full stack developers to keep the site up. And then, yeah, and it did really well. But then I guess true to my nature, once we proved it could go well and it got big, it's time for me to go. So then I was kind of like, not to see even more people can handle doing that. They're company builders. I think Steve is a real solid, I want to build a real thing. And then Buck's a little bit like me, but not as bad as I am. And my time was come. I wasn't adding any more value to the company. My thing was that kind of the idea and the creativity of it, but I'm not that good after that. I mean, that's kind of what I do well. And so it's then I'm just a distraction because I kept wanting to do other things. Let's do this. And they were like, why? Why? This is working. I was like, but we could change, so I would have stayed if we'd done some stupid risky shit, but that wasn't what they wanted. And that's smart.
Okay. Yeah, let's back it up a little bit. So you started this out. How long does it take you to kind of develop the products and get the inventory and that kind of thing at first?
It took a while. I mean, once you figure the formulation is interesting. So we actually work with formulators, and it took us a while. I think it's probably 6 or 7 months to agree on what we wanted in it, to find ingredients that had the research and that also wouldn't negate each other, right? So you have to you can't just go, yeah. We actually talked to smart people and paid some money for a real scientist to kind of make sure that we weren't, right? So, to not to just pitch some crap together and say, oh yeah, look. So that took a little while. And then,
do you remember how much expense it took you guys to go through that process?
30 or 40 on the research side just to think about it. And then the inventory was we went for it. We went 5,000 bottles at it's $60K for the inventory. I think a little over $100K just to kind of make sure that was done right. But that's with 5,000 bottles ready to sell.
Okay. And at the time, with what you guys had, was that a big stretch for you, or didn't seem like a huge gamble?
Not from Helltown, because Helltown was this slush fund, right? It was just this thing that was a joke that all of a sudden was making lots of, some things that slush. It was just this fun play thing. That's another mistake. Helltown's I gave it to a friend to run. He ran to once we did Real Dose, we forgot about it. And I was paying this guy $5,000 a month just to keep it going. They're like, wait a second, where's the money? And I don't know what he did, but it didn't. And then we're that could have gone on forever. Why didn't we train somebody to run that? Anyway, that was a great thing. And we just forgot about it. And then now we're thinking about reviving it. Because I actually loved Helltown. I think Buck and I were just talking, we might just put that back together for fun. Because it was a cool site to actually protect the people.
Okay.
It was actually a good for the world site. We saved a lot of people from a lot of miracles. And we only promoted great things. And it was, but again, back to the first thing is we never systematized it. We never really, got the right people. We didn't watch it. And that thing should be doing, if that would have just followed its natural course, I think it should be doing really well right now. But now you can't even opt in right now. We took a look at it. You can't even, it's just on there. And it's a disaster. And then the guy started putting a bunch of cheesy shit on it. We just weren't paying attention. So now it's a disgrace. So anyway, back to the old lesson of paying attention, I guess.
Yeah. So you moved on, you started Real Dose, 6, 7 months. You guys go through formulation. You buy a lot of inventory. Do you remember how big, kind of your list was? That's what you first started testing to?
Well, yeah, the Helltown had 100,000, and then a bunch of people like Geary and all that whole ClickBank fitness crowd. They promoted it, and then they all, and then BioTrust came in after us, and they built their company based on an all affiliate model. So we started buying media, and then they took all that. That's fine. I like those guys, but then they had a very similar brand, we were Real Dose, they're BioTrust. So that was the new wave of that brand, but they created good stuff. I like those guys, but they took those affiliates because they did a better job with them. And again, you have to pick your point. You can't do both.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys started with affiliates and
just for one, they all set once. It was just to get us going. It just got us a big bankroll.
Okay.
And then after that, we were we're not doing affiliates.
Okay.
And I was also tired of it. So we went the media buying route, and then BioTrust took over the all affiliate thing, which is fine because they create great stuff. And they actually built a real model, and they took it seriously, and they would work their butts off to get those people paid. And we weren't going to do that.
Okay.
So it all worked out. But that was also the beginning of those companies, we had it, and then all of a sudden, wait a second, a lot of trust companies. Anyway, but I think we upped the game because BioTrust creates good. So I think we created a standard, and it's good that other people did, because now there's a lot of great companies now in that space.
Yeah. So I'm thinking what I see here is you guys already had these strengths. You already had a list. You already had a bunch of affiliate networks. I think if you were starting over from scratch, you probably would have just picked one place to jump into first, maybe been a little bit leaner with media buying at first. Is that right?
Yeah. We had the luxury of being able to test.
Okay. So you guys decided to do media buying. You guys create a VSL. What is that process like to get that rolling and get it up to $40,000 a day?
I mean, you have to convert and you have to know how to test. And then it's just test, split, split, because all those things matter. Yeah, we built there wasn't Wistia back then, right? So we had to build, with Google Analytics, we built a tracker to see where drop off. So then it was just like testing that VSL and like without Wistia about when are they dropping off, editing, writing. So there's a lot, it's a split test, and then different segments and different arguments. So we had like a hormonal argument. So then what you start doing with segments is you end up with marriages, right? When you're buying ads.
What do you mean by that?
So let's say you have a better example, we got protein powder. Like we have this great protein powder. And one of the claims we can make without, and it's legit, is more of an anti-aging angle. One of them is also like a weight loss angle, right? Well, those are two very different things.
Sure.
But it's the same product. So you test generic at the beginning. You're just, testing ads and you have your generic page and you're probably going to lose on both your generics because you're not targeted. But once you get like a honey hole, that means an ad that's running that's going to get traffic for a while that you can kind of scale. Then you start to customize your page based on the ad. And then what you end up with is a bunch of scent matches, right? It's all scent matching. So you have your marriages, right? You have your thematic matches. And then even like, well, I'm going to go pink with an ad because I want to look at the girl. And then you might even have 4 sets of thematic matches. So what people think is like, oh, I create a page that converts. It's not the way it works. You create a generic okay page and then you test your way into it. And then it's always right. And that's why, and then people got better at segmenting, right? Yeah, I've always thought that way. And I'll call them scent matches. Like you want to match the scent of the ad, but there's no scent matching an ad that's not going to scale.
Yeah. So you're talking about like congruency between the ad and then the landing page and the VSL that they're seeing.
I do that from affiliates. I mean, same thing. Like, everybody says, oh, here's my landing page. It converts with this. And it converts to what? Like, converts with that, gets 4 cents. What? It's $4 a click. No, it's not. It's $4 a click from a warm referral who says this. It's 5 cents. For, you get it. Like, that's such a joke.
Yeah.
That page does this well based on what and what messaging and then how warm is it, right? So you have to be willing to make a bunch of pages and split test all the time.
Okay.
We just have some pages at work. We grinded it on the testing. It's just a different kind of grind.
Okay.
But yeah, anybody out there, like whether it's split testing digitally, whatever, it's all the same thing. Like it's good enough. And then you got to test your way into profit.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm surprised this interview has gone by really fast. We're going to hit some like rapid fire questions and then we'll plug baby bass water at the end. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So first question is like, did you experience a time that like you thought either of these businesses would fail?
No. I mean, I experienced burnout, but no, I never thought they'd fail. No.
Okay. What's the one thing you did that had the biggest impact on your growth?
Just not quitting. I mean, I'd say testing and grinding and, having wherewithal. I mean, I think it's just not Gary Vee crap, but testing, like just changing when the stuff isn't working to always having a new idea to test, like not on beating a dead horse. So a lot of shit I did didn't work is changing real fast. Like always trying new angles, always trying a different way at all times and everything. And always kind of even split testing everything, my angles, all that. Always trying something new to see what stuck and then doubling down when it worked.
Awesome. If you could go back in time and start over, what would you tell yourself?
Be more patient, build teams. Don't be so selfish. And also, I've had business partnerships and to be better to my partners. And like, I think a lot of times it's easy to think that you're doing all the work when you aren't. So you get resentful for no reason. And I can definitely say in retrospect that we have it. Like let's say my partner and I now have a therapist, and she's I want this to work, and she's really good at going, well, because he does that, you can do this. So she's really good at, helping us acknowledge the value that each other brings that you usually don't notice because you kind of only notice the thing that you do. Mm-hmm. And it goes, well, that guy just does this business, whatever. But then you're like, oh, you try that then. It's easy to think that they're not providing the value if you're kind of I'm a little self-centered, right? So it's having a stare, our therapist point out, and that's kind of what she's known for is that she works with couples and all these business people. I'm like, yeah, because Hollis does this, I can do this, and vice versa. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, whoa, I couldn't do this. Like, he is doing all this stuff, and if he didn't do that stuff, then I'd be doing this, and I couldn't do what I do, and now we can grow. And I wish I would have had that earlier because I think I was kind of not too fair that way.
Okay.
And that caused a lot of mental resentment and burned me out.
Okay.
Take the interpersonal part of your team more seriously. That's what I regret most.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's super important. All right. So you built up Real Dose where it was 40 million at your peak. You said there's some other like competitors started getting in the way. You transitioned out of this business. And so like what happened next for you guys? We have about like 5 minutes left to cover some of this.
When I got out, they bought me out. And then my partners, I'm not going to say what amount, because that's private, but I did a real fair deal and they bought me down to 10% with another investor kind of helped in. And it's just time for me to go. So I got a nice little fair thing, but it didn't kill them cash flow wise. I think it's very fair and equitable.
Yeah.
I think everybody's happy that I was out.
So you started Baby Bathwater Next, which we have a lot of mutual friends that I have a lot of friends that have gone to this. So what is that about?
Well, we just wanted to create, again, like I'm not one of the solitary geniuses. I socially learn. I can't sit there and figure stuff out. Like I've been to every mastermind event, hired all the consultants, all that stuff. And like, I'm glad I did it, but 1 out of 6 worked or whatever. But the 1 out of 6 pays for the 5 out of 6 that sucks. So I'm never going to be one. I believe in hiring consultants and I believe in going to groups. And a lot of them did suck, but I always got something out of it. That's where Baby Bathwater, like as bad as that fucking mastermind was, I got the baby. I'm not going to like not get the baby, even if I have to deal with a bunch of douchebags or whatever. So that's what we said. Let's do Baby Bathwater. But we thought we could do better. The biggest problem in the groups is nobody curated on personality. So they might curate, there's some groups I was into, you had to be making this revenue. And then the problem with those groups is the high revenue ones and the small groups. I get in there, I'm like, I don't trust any of you guys, right? I like 2 of you. So I'm not sharing anything, right? So I wouldn't share any of my best stuff because I didn't like I'm not going to war room sharing anything. Sorry. So no way, and not in a million years I'm going to help those people. So that sucked, right? So you might be around, smart people, but if you don't trust them, you're not going to share, and they ain't either. And then the big ones, just a bunch of numbskulls, and they had a lot of posturing and people networking or wanting you to JV with them. And so we were like, what if we only let people in that we knew at first, but then got referred in that were nice people that weren't like that. And we just use our judgment, and this just kind of happened. And then the rule is, when I have somebody share content, they got to come pay too. And I hate the status, no speakers dinners, just not have it be that, and then have it be all inclusive. Because you go to these events, and then the rich guys go out and get the steak dinners, and then all the losers aren't getting invited to the coolest things. So to eliminate the possibility of that by having it in places remote where you can't escape. So that way nobody can be that person.
Yeah.
And then that way people aren't left out, which is yucky. But it's mainly about having just great people, and then not allowing pitching. So you're not allowed to solicit there. You're not allowed to ask somebody to promote your book. You're not allowed to do any of that. The people sharing content are there and they want to be there because they're paying too, and they can't pitch. We don't pitch. And so set those rules, get the right people, and then create, like Bert Jacobs, the founder of Life is Good, was there. And he goes, we're all monkeys. We're not sitting around tablecloth, and we're out there doing shit. In the winter, we're skiing and messing around. In the summer, we're out. And then we have great content, but you don't have to go to it. So you're never stuck, and have great food. But it's really about the people and put them in the right environment with all that stuff, and good things tend to happen. We don't have like this. You don't have to listen to us talk. So there's no microphones or no stage. Anyway, so what is that group?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I wanted to bring that up, not just as like a pitch, but this is something you guys have built $1.7 million. So I think we didn't get into much of the details here on this episode, but it is, I think, a good model. You guys found like something that was missing in the marketplace, and you brought your resources together and you grew it pretty quickly.
Yeah, people like that. There's other people doing it well as well that are just a different, there's a lot of kind of cool masterminds coming up. I've seen some cool ones, and I think that's, like you're saying, the supplement world got better. I think this world, there's other choices besides us. We're more for people. It's just a hard thing, like to know our type. But then there's other guys I know in this space who are doing some really cool shit too. It's just now there's choices, which is crazy.
Awesome. All right. Well, Michael, thank you so much for coming on. Like, where can people learn more about you and connect with you?
I'm Michael Lovitch on Facebook. babybathwater.com. We're pretty easy to find, but I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll get that linked up in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining and sharing with us today, Michael.
Thank you. It's fun.
Thanks again for listening to our show this week. If you want to find out more about Michael and the lessons he shared today, or read our show notes, visit leadquizzes.com/19. If you'd like to start generating more leads for your business and get a free trial to Lead Quizzes, go to leadquizzes.com/podcast. Next week, I'll be interviewing Roy Morjan on how he grew his crowdfunding agency to over $10 million in annual revenue last year, helping his clients raise over $150 million through crowdfunding. Please subscribe to our show so you don't miss this next episode. I'm Jeremy Allens, and you've been listening to Journey to 7 Figures.